Aramutse muraho neza. Abanyacyubahiro bari hano mwese, abayobozi b'igihugu cyacu mu nzego zitandukanye, nagira ngo mbasuhuze hanyuma mbashimire n'akazi, hari ibyo twagejejweho, hari n'ibindi tuza kugezwaho mu mwanya uri buze. Ibyanjye ni kugerageza ndahera ku byo mwaganiriye ejo, ko ndibwira ko biza kumpa interuro nziza. Uyu mwiherero ni uwa kangahe tugize? Wa kangahe? Gukora ikintu inshuro 12 cyangwa kubwirwa inshuro 12 ntiwumve, ugomba kuba ufite ikibazo. Ugomba kuba ufite ikibazo kiremereye, ubwo biba bishaka ngo twisuzume, turebe umuntu yakumva ibintu, yabwirwa ibintu, yakora ibintu inshuro 12, ntihagire ibintu byinshi bihinduka, ubwo nuba ngo hari ikibazo, hari icyo ugomba gusuzuma ugahindura. Niho ndi bubanze guhera. Ibyo mwaganiriye ejo, ibyo Prime Minister yaramaze kutunyuriramo, kugira ngo niba mwamfasha numve igishya cyaganiriwe cyangwa se igishya cyavuyemo nka commitment, icyo ari cyo gitandukanye n'ibindi by'izo nshuro zabanje imbere y'ingiyi. Hanyuma nanjye nshyira umutima hamwe, mvuge ngo muri iyi nama, muri uyu mwiherero turajya kuhava dufite icyizere ku bintu bihinduka cyangwa bizahinduka. Ndagira ngo abariho mpera ni iki? Usibye gusezeranya bisanzwe ku bintu bigiye guhinduka, usibye hari n'ubwo mbona tuza hano mbere yo gutangirana n'umwiherero n'ibyo dukwiye kuba tuganiramo, abantu batekereza gutaha kuva mu mwiherero. Urumva icyo nshaka kuvuga? Ubu sindishobora niba abenshi hano urede mu mutwe wacu hatarimo turava haryari, turataha ryari, buracya ryari ngo tugende, kurusha no kuvuga ngo ariko akazi kahatuzanye kubanza karemereye, turakifatamo dute, turakora iki gihindura ibyo tugiye gukora cyangwa ibyo dusanzwe dukora. Nibyo mbona, ariko nshobora kuba mbona ibitari ibyo. Ndashaka ngo mumpakanye, ndashaka ngo mumbwire ngo ya ntabwo ari byo. Nimbona umpa ibindi bitekerezo yampakanije, ndishima kuko ndaba nzi ngo nibeshyaga, kandi ibyo twifuzaga nyine tugiye kubigeraho. Nicyo nshaka ko tuganira. Jewe impression mfite ni uko mwiherero n'undi mu myiherero isanzwe twaje kubahiriza umuhango tugataha tugasubiramo ibyo dusanzwe twikorera. Ndashaka ngo mumpe a different opinion, mumpe a different impression. Prove to me that I am wrong, and I will be happy to be wrong. Ndabitegereje kuba muri mwebwe. Give me a different impression that I am wrong, that this time around we are here for serious business, for change that must take place. That's what brought us here. And that we are not just in a hurry to leave this place and go back to business as usual. I'm waiting for you. Ndabategereje. Guhera kuri ba ministers n'abandi babasumbye izindi nzego zose ziri hano. Ndashaka ngo mumpe something different. Something different that is going to work for us differently and deliver what we want to our people. Ndabategereje. Even if you need a whole hour thinking about it, I'm waiting for you. That's even why I'm thinking, instead of people coming here hurrying to go back, they are going back in their minds before they have even arrived here. I think we need to extend this period and sit here and reflect. There are Harinawa's meditation. You can have time to meditate and really think. Because I don't think you have time to think seriously. We just need to be kept in one place doing nothing maybe, and we feel how good it is to do nothing, and reflect over that. And then maybe when we go back, we can do something, and do something differently, with different results. Nawasubiri. Ndabategereje mubwire. Other than what you discussed, which the Prime Minister tells me was a very serious discussion. Very good for that. But I'm afraid you must have discussed this as an end in itself. But this can't be an end in itself. It must have been a process to lead us to something more concrete. And that's what I want to hear, and that's what I want to see. Ndabategereje. I want somebody to tell me something good, something new, something different, something that is compatible with what we should be doing and delivering. Well, I'm not capable of changing anybody here to be different or to think differently. but I'm capable of keeping challenging you. I keep challenging you. Ntabwo nahindura abantu ngo babe uko numva bakwiye kuba bameze twirirwa tuganira kandi tunemera, ntabwo ari ibyo bivamo gusa n'ejo mubivuga nyine ntabwo nari mpari nimwe mwabyiganiriye nta n'uwo nari natumye ngo mvugire. You discuss something. There is something you agree must happen. It's from you, it's not from me. I'm just building on what you discussed. So I'm just building on that. Apart from people here every day repeating themselves, being defensive, talking too much, everybody has explanation, everybody is right, it's the other one who is wrong, it's not him, it's not her, it's the other one. And we keep at that for all these years. Nobody takes responsibility, nobody owns up, nobody, it's always the other one. It's the other, n'undi n'urundi rwego ntabwo ari wowe. Wowe, ukabaza umuntu ibintu yarakwiye kuba akora yarakoze 5 years ago. Yarafashe responsibility, ukamubaza today, what happened? Ati no, atariko twaraye tugize inama ati tugiye kubikora. After 5 years. This, ukakubwira agatinyuka akakubwira ngo ngo ariko se nkubwira ati wowe uba hehe kubanza urangaye ejo twagize inama tugiye kubikora. Wowe uravuga ibiki? Ariko se ko niba koko twabivuze 5 years ago ngo dukwiye kuba tubikora, ko ari byo twemeranyije nawe ubwawe ko wari uhari, ko wari mu batanze ibitekerezo nawe ko byagenze bita ahubwo wimbwira ko waraye ugize inama mugiye kubikora. Ahubwo mbwira what happened for the last 5 years leading to that meeting of the last evening. Buri munsi, it's a daily discussion with ministers, between me and these ministers. I can see one culprit here, Minister of State of Minagri. Buri teka bambwira ko bare bagize inama. They have a lot to talk about, but they have very little to do. Minister, uribuka amanama duhora tujyana mpora nkuhari Max, nkubwira ngo don't tell me what you are doing, what you discussed yesterday you're going to do. I'm asking you things because you discussed things that should have happened 5 years ago. It happens with many leaders here. And they can't answer the most important question. You say, okay, did we talk about this as a problem we need to address and we agreed on how to deal with it or not? And if somebody says, yes, we did. Then I remind them who else was there. Hari naka, hari n'abandi babishinzwe, twaremeranyije, twavuze ngo nuko bikwiye kuba bimera. What happened? And somebody dries up and cannot tell you what happened. Even the simplest thing to say, there was this problem. This is why we did not do it. Or we found it was the wrong thing after all. We discovered we need to be doing something different and differently. So we were maybe in the process of now shifting from the earlier position to a new position. No, nothing. It's just that you must take what he's telling you, that nothing happened, he has no explanation, or she has no explanation, that's what you must take, and understand that they had a meeting yesterday, last evening, to deal with it. This happens every day, every single day. Buri munsi nuko bimera. Nuko byagenze, nta cyakozwe, kandi ntubaze nta n'indi mpamvu ariko twariye tugize inama ngo tubikore. So mugiye gukora ibyo twemeranyije 5 years ago, mwaraye mugize inama last evening, to do it the same way we agreed, not even a different way. There must be something terribly wrong. Ibyo Prime Minister avuga twubahirije ngo 70% ngo hasigaye 20%, I don't agree. For me, that kind of behavior costs us 100%. Nuko nabimushubijemo n'abantu ni ibihe mvuga ibitarakozwe. Iyo njya kujya mu byakozwe, nkabaza ngo ariko iyo 70% yo ni iyi, you would have had problems. Nabyihoreye gusa. And it is all of us here. We see it, we know it, we let it pass. We know it. We know what goes wrong every single day. All of us know it. But we expect that somebody else is the one going to do it. And somebody else is you. There is no other person going to do it. Who else is going to do it if it is not you? Urasigana nande, urasiganya nde. Murasiganya nde. Who is going to do it for you? This Rwanda of ours, who is going to do it for us? Let me tell you what you know. This Rwanda, you see, is too small to be of interest to anybody else. If it is not you who must be having interest in your business. There is nobody interested in your business, in your mess here, in your country. If you're not interested, you are dead. Nobody, not a single. Ababaza kubabeshya hano, these ones who come to tell you lies. They tell you lies. Nobody is interested in you. You have nothing to offer. Find something to offer to yourself. Don't think there's anybody interested in anything we're going to offer. Don't think these people from Europe, America, Asia are spending nights thinking about Rwanda. Not a single one of them. Well, there are some people who come here to tell you lies every day, who come to praise you. Hey, do you know so and so? Imagine, ninjye babwira, nje tubana, one of you bakaza kumbwira, ariko zikanaka, ubwo arambwira umwe muri mwe. Ni igitangaza. Nturiya se cyakora ndabahishira, ntabwo mbavuga uko mumeze. Ye ntabwo najyaho ngo nganire n'abantu bo hanze ngo mbaganire jewe. Kubahishira burya akanambwira n'icyo nkwiriye kumugira, ukwiriye kumugira iki? Ni igitangaza, ni performer. ubuse ubibwiwe n'iki? Performer akorera leta y'iwanyu, performer aragukorera, wowe ubwiwe n'iki performer w'iwacu? Iby'iwacu ko bizwi n'ab'iwacu natwe, wowe ubibwiwe n'iki? Uhoraho birirwa babambwira ko muri the best performers. The best performers mu biki? Mu byo babakorera wenda, ariko birashoboka ni good performers mu mirimo mu bakorera, sinzi iyo mu bakorera iyo ariyo. Ariko ngenda avuga, ubu ngenda cyari hano mu Rwanda ndavuga iby'iwacu. Who do you think is interested in you to an extent to come and do things for you? Need. And why? You know, I'm interesting and I would be suspicious. Why would you have such interest in me? Jewe ntifitiye. How would you be interested in me more than I'm interested in myself? This is the point I'm trying to make to you. Why are you not interested in delivering on what you must deliver for your people, meaning yourself as well? What is all this that goes on for years? Decades. Yeah? Governor North, ufite impamvu ki yatuma ujyaho ugakora ibintu nibagiwe nagize ntese nagize ngo imyaka ingahe mu buyobozi? Why would you do that? Wibagirwa iki? Wibagirwa kuri governor wa province? Buriya hari moment ushobora kwibagirwa kuri governor.
Excellency, governor rwose nyakubahwa President.
Yes, so what happens? Buri munsi abayobozi muri hano, how do you switch off and nobody can find you in delivering on things that we have possibility for? I'm not asking you to deliver on impossible things. I'm not asking anybody to deliver on impossible things. There are things we don't have means for. We can wait. We can look for the means. And we understand that we are waiting because we have no means currently, and we have to look for means and for delivery on the future. But how can we fail to deliver on what we have means for? How? Gatiti. How can we do that? Minister of Finance, you're supposed to be planning, you're supposed to be, then you throw money to things and let happen what must happen. Between you and Fazil, you put money in the budget, you go to build the prisons and what, you don't care what happens in between. So what are you planning for us? What is this throwing money at anything anyhow, and you don't bother to? It is costly to us. You should be the one to first understand how costly it is to us. So mnakuwa wapi? What happens? Fazil, well, Minister, on that particular one, there are many things, but talking about that. Ubu tujye kwiruka inyuma y'abandi bantu who did wrong things, tujye kureba mayor wa Nyarugenge cyangwa turebe mbasize aho ngaho mwebwe who should have done it, followed it to make sure that the right things were done. Why should I run after those when you are sitting there telling all kinds of stories that don't add up? Huh? Ibyo nabazaga Prime Minister for clarification ukambwira ngo ni na infrastructure agomba kubishyura ni ibiki? Hey, things on the energy side, infrastructure, RDB. Why don't you explain to us why things go wrong to that extent? Mnakuwa wapi?
Because Excellency, Gishoma ni disaster uko byagenze Excellency uko mubivuga.
Ntabwo numva.
Murakoze Excellency, Gishoma hagomba gukorwa uruganda rutanga megawati 15 rushingiye kuri pit. Design was wrong kuko rukoresha amazi, so rakora rugiye kurangira it was realized ko ugomba kubaho na party y'amazi. Icyaka biri kirimo,
so imagine ubwo mugiye gukora ikintu not even a layman kenshi bajya gukora ibintu banyura mu some kind of thought process bagenda batikinga, this is what you need, this is gukora checklist y'ibintu 5 10, ariko bagiye gukora ikintu ntibazi ko gikenera amazi, they discover it. Ubu n'abaturage baho Gishoma uvuga, they could have done it better through that. Ariko mwebwe ni mwe the ministries ni mwe kandi muzi ko muri bitangaza. Yes, birega ko muri aho mwese muri bitangaza. That's why you think the problem is with somebody else, not with you. Mwese muri bitangaza, ariko noneho uri bitangaza munaniwe kumenya what you needed to do a simple thing. How? Hari n'abantu niba mutanafite na capacity ubwanyu, erega isi yose yuzuyemo abantu bafite capacity. Why don't you use them to do that? But you can't do it because you are not there. You are not there mentally, you are not there. You are just lost in yourselves. Several individuals operating all over the place. It's not we as a system. We are having a problem realizing a system to work as a system. It's just scattered individuals who are minding their individual business and not the business of this country. Huh? So this disaster you're talking about, how do you allow a disaster to happen? RDB, what happens? You are the ones supposed to be dealing with these investments. What happened between RDB and infrastructure? Why wasn't this done? Between RDB and infrastructure, we have no capacity to deliver 15 megawatts by simply realizing what you need in a place before you work on something. This is really what you are telling us?
Very sorry, Excellency. We've now rectified it, but unfortunately, it happened. And
no, but how many things are we going to rectify just one by one? And ubu turavuga ibyo mwabirectifyinze, but there is another one. in waiting, or another one being messed up. Eh? Francis, what happened? And here I'm asking you, not as Francis or as Muson, I'm asking you as RDB and as Minister of Infrastructure. Because I know maybe I may even be raising a problem that happened when you as individuals were not there. But the institutions were there. This is why I want to be clear that I'm putting this question to you, not because you were even there as individuals, but as institutions you lead, you were there. So Francis, what do you think goes wrong, and why does it continue getting wrong?
Because Your Excellency, actually hari ibibazo bibiri. Hari ikibazo kiri technical cy'uruganda rwagomba gutunganya amashanyarazi, ariko hari n'ikibazo cya kabiri cyo gutunganya nyiramugengeri yagomba gukoreshwa kugira ngo amashanyarazi aboneke. So ikibazo cya technical cyo gutunganya uruganda Minifra Rwanda Energy Group barimo kugitunganya, ariko ikindi cya kabiri uruganda rwa rufitanye
barimo kugitunganya. Just give us a feel of what time we have lost, first of all. For me, another problem that you have, you are not time sensitive. For you, it seems the issue of time doesn't arise. Yeah, tell people how much time, other than the loss in terms of other resources, tell us how much time you've lost on that. Yeah?
Your Excellency, umwanya watakaye ni mwinshi n'amashanyarazi yananiwe kuboneka ni menshi yagomba guha simerwa, ariko ubu icyo RDB yafashije nuko twabonye umushoramari noneho barimo kumvikana mu masezerano, turi ku final stages kumvikana mu masezerano azabafasha gutunganya nyiramugengeri yo gushyira.
Ariko ibyo ntabwo binsubiza ikibazo cya that time lost, why what is being done now was not done at the beginning. This is my problem. And this is where I'm afraid we live here, we go and repeat the same things. This is what I'm talking about. So you're telling me what you're doing now to rectify something you should have done 2 years ago, 3 years ago, but you're not explaining why it was not done at that time. And you risk repeating the same thing on this or any other case. This is the problem. You people behind there, are you listening to me? Because I can see some of these cameramen. I don't see any woman anywhere among them. But I think you are there, happy to be tweeting and chatting or looking down, not paying attention. This is a serious matter. I want all of us to address. We can't keep repeating ourselves and doing nothing about it. And you know, it's a shame. It's the young people, it's the old, it's the, you know, there are many categories. It's those who really think they know everything in this world. We also have them. it's those who are struggling, but you find they all behave the same way. Hey, we have the young people who are, who are always making everyone aware that they are young people. Yes, I don't mind, and I'm grateful. But what are you delivering? Hey, young is good, but it's even better when you're using that young age to deliver something. Because you are quicker, you think faster, you think better, you've educated, yes, then I expect from you that you must deliver. It's not just enough. Well educated, fine, but what is your being well educated delivering to these people of Rwanda? This is what I'm talking about. If you are not doing what is expected of you, it doesn't matter how much educated you are. You probably, in our viewpoint, wasted that money that took you to school. And you better listen more to the one who criticizes you, because it challenges you to think critically and see what you need to change and improve yourself. Don't listen too much to those who praise you. Listen more to one who criticizes you and less the one who praises you. Make sense of the kinds of criticisms we get every day. Learn from that. Do something about it. Don't just be so full of yourselves as individuals, because if that was delivering to us what we want, then we wouldn't be having no complaints today, because there are many who are so full of themselves. We have so many of those. If that was delivering anything to us, today we would have no problem. But being so full of yourself and in the end do little or nothing, I don't know what sense you find in that. And let me tell you again, as I say this, and really sounding angry, which I am and have right to be, originates from one thing. The challenges we have as a country, Rwanda, and the context in which we operate are completely different from what you see elsewhere. For us, Rwandans, we are not spoiled for anything. We have to struggle. We have to struggle every single day to get what we want to get. Nobody's going to deliver it for us or to us. Nobody. Therefore, you can't even do things on the basis that you are better than so and so, that you are better than so and so. We have many people to compare ourselves with, to deceive us or to deceive ourselves that we are actually very good. Do you get my point? Niba dushaka kwigereranya n'abandi bantu, hari abantu benshi dushobora kwigereranya nabo tukumva actually turi ibitangaza, kuvuga ngo ariko how can anybody be there complaining when we are actually better than a whole list of entities you can name. Kuvuga ngo ariko uyu muntu abo kwigereranya nabo tugasanga turi ibitangaza barahari, ariko what does that deliver to us? Biduha iki? Twigereranyije tugasanga turuta abatameze neza, biduha iki? Just feel good that we are better than somebody else? No. For me, it's what are we getting from it that transforms the lives of our people, period. If you are comparison in a neighbor or some distant entity, it does not arise for me. It doesn't make sense. I don't want to compare myself with anybody else that I am better than. If you want to make a comparison, okay, compare yourself with those who have achieved what we are struggling to achieve. Isn't it? Isn't it a better deal? Yes. How can you compare yourselves with people sitting and swallowed, in a mess? How? What a shame that is. Kujya wirurwa wirata ngo ufite abo uruta ariyeri. I mean, this is not who we should be, honestly, as far as I know. The nation, it's the nation of Rwanda. We shouldn't be comparing ourselves with the worst. No. You should be more daring than that. You should be comparing yourselves with the best. And saying, how much more do I need to do to actually be there? Because you have there that you're talking about. That's what our vision says. That's what we talk about every day. That's what your claims are every day. Ariko byageraho ugatangira utari kuramvuga ko ameze ntya kandi nduta kanaka utabaho. Ujye kwikomparinga n'abatabaho kubera iki? It means you have a serious problem. And that's what makes me come to the point of saying, before we get lost in the generalities of, examining the system, we need, as individuals, to examine ourselves. If we don't do that, ibibazo dufite tubitera system, tubijyana mu system igatangira cooperatinga nk'ifite ibibazo kubera ko dufite ibibazo. Ubu tukajyaho nyiramugengeri nta mashanyarazi twabonye, RDB infrastructure bikajya muri rusange, ariko somewhere there are individuals in that who really didn't think of what they need to do. These individuals must might have gained individually in this mess. Bo bashobora kuba barabigizemo inyungu individually muri iyi mess. Somebody must have got away with something. And it always smells bad. It always happens that some people get away individually with something. And all of us inherit the mess and start blaming ourselves as a system. Yeah, but that's what happens. A system is just the aggregate. Before we get lost in the generalities of, examining the system, we need, as individuals, to examine ourselves. If we don't do that, ibibazo dufite tubitera system, tubijyana mu system igatangira cooperating nk'ifite ibibazo kubera ko dufite ibibazo. Ubu tukajyaho nyiramugengeri nta mashanyarazi twabonye, RDB infrastructure bikajya muri rusange, ariko somewhere there are individuals in that who really didn't think of what they need to do. These individuals might have gained individually in this mess. Bo bashobora kuba barabigizemo inyungu individually muri iyi mess. Somebody must have got away with something. And it always smells bad. It always happens that some people get away individually with something. And all of us inherit the mess and start blaming ourselves as a system. Yeah, but that's what happens. A system is just the aggregate of different parts. If these different parts are sick, you transmit that into the system. You delay a decision, or you make a wrong decision, it transmits into the system. And we are failing as individuals here to take stock of our own weaknesses and problems that we transmit into the system and get rid of these weaknesses or problems as individuals. To the point, some in the system put themselves as individuals above the system. It's what matters to them, it's what they think, it's what they want to do that must prevail, even if it is wrong. And that overrides on what the system had agreed to do, including the very person. So how can we deal with this matter? How can we deal with this? How do we deal with these individuals who just don't care, but not caring and not making the right decision? The consequence of that is transmitted to millions of our people. But you are there with too much French and English and too many things you've learned, There are things you yeah. You know, we have people, we always have people who have been asking us, you know, I want to go and study this, you know, it's like, oh, I say, but I tell them, oh, but you had studied this other thing. What did you do with it, first of all? Did you really use it to do something decent for our people? Now you are going to add something else. Is it in the same vein? You are going to add another degree and another degree and another degree and come back and do nothing for us. So, but some of you have already accumulated these things. Happily, because even with that complaint I have, I just put it somewhere else and say, well, studying is always good, but it's even better if you really bring that knowledge and put it to work to do the very things we are talking about. Yeah? So, Musoni, if you have people who studied all kinds of things, and they are going to build us some power station from a pit, and yet they cannot know that there was a need for water. And I don't think technically they didn't know. No. There is something else in the mind that operates. They didn't pay attention, they didn't care. Maybe skipping that thing of there was a need for water and there is no water here and you skip it when you know it, has some gains for this same person. Not because they didn't know. No. Maybe they need this power to be seen to be going on so that they make a cut somewhere else. And by the time we find we have no power station, we have nothing, money has been spent, we have to go back and do it. For them, they say, oh, sorry, you know, I didn't see, you know, we forgot, we didn't see this. I don't believe you. Something else wrong has happened. How can we keep? For us, it's a different issue. It's no issue of comparison we make between us and others. No, it's so much on delivering to meet our goals, our targets, to be where we want to be. Do we have where we want to be? I want to believe so. I think so. How about you? Do you really have in mind where you want to be and that keeps disturbing you and keeping you awake at night? Do you? Nawauliza, and if you do, what happens? Why I was pointing, for example, to the governor, you know, I wanted to say, it is not just the governor. I was actually talking about all governors. What do you govern when you are called governors? What do you do? When you are governors, what is the first thing you understand? That you are supposed to do what? What is this governor thing? What does it mean? For mayors who are here, being a mayor to you means what? Mayors wako wapi? What is that? What is that? What is being a mayor to you? kuba mayors bivuze iki? Ni badge twambara gusa tukitwa mayor and we go and make everybody else pay for it. Ubu muvaha mukagenda abo muyoboye mukabatura kwikorera umuzigo w'uko muri ba mayors instead of working with them to address their problems. Mayors, nimwembaza.
Your Excellency, kuba mayor no committing our constitutional obligations by supporting our people to attain the goals that you have set for us, Your Excellency.
Yes, in practice, not in theory. Yes, in practice, meaning therefore results. Ariko, Minister of Health, the problems we have za mituweli tumaranye imyaka ingahe. Between the Minister of Health, the whole system of our health system, and the mayors and the governors and others, how could you allow this mess to go on for this long? Where mayors just literally killing those they lead, and for them they are benefiting, and corruption becomes everyday life. How do you allow that to happen? Later on, be part of it. Ibyo mvuga ntabwo mubizi, ndavuga iby'ahandi cyangwa murabizi? Ibyo mvuga murabyumva, murabizi, cyangwa n'ibyo nahimbye mvuga bindi? And you know it, and you are happy that we sit with it, and it happens like that. And the mayors, you know it or you don't know it? Yes? Murabizi? So, tubyihorere bimere bityo gusa kuko byakozwe na mayors. Mayors bari protected n'amategeko. Ntabwo amategeko aba protectinga mu kugirira nabi abaturage. Iyo wabikoze wishe itegeko naryo riragufata. Ubwo rero tukajya mu struggle yo kuvuga ngo ariko uyu mayor wamaze abantu abiba abagirira nabi ari suppose kubayobora, ngo ariko ngo ntimumufateho, ngo mayor ntafatwaho gusa gutyo. Ntabwo ubukiri mayor. Ntabwo ubukiri mayor. Mayor nzigewe no muri iyo constitution uvuga ni mayor ukorera abayobora. Yes. That is my reading of the Constitution. The rest is a procedure. But you are no longer mayor, as far as I am concerned, if what you are doing is detrimental to the people you are leading. Later on, actually commit a crime of stealing resources that should be used for people is a crime. So justice must apply. There are no two ways about it. There is no hesitation to say, oh, you can't be a mayor or a governor or a minister. Or if you are hurting the people you are leading, you've already gone against the very constitution you are talking about. Therefore, something must apply. Justice must apply. And how can we all here be people who are going to be silent and let such things go on, and tukagumya tworosaho gusa tworosa hejuru tukanyuraho tukagenda ngo. Of course, I have said it here before. There are a number of reasons why that would happen. Ibyo bibaho kubera ko either you are actually doing the same somewhere else. Ubwawe uri involved in a mess somewhere else. Therefore, you have no courage to point to somebody and say, is this going wrong? Number one, you are also doing the wrong thing somewhere, and you have no courage to point out the wrong somewhere else. That's one. Number two, uri impumyi, you are blind. You don't see what needs to be seen that is wrong. Therefore, you don't deserve to lead people. Niba utabona ibikwiye kuba bibonwa that bigirira n'aba bantu yobora, biravuze ngo you are not supposed to be in that place in the first place. If you are not part of it, but you don't see it, and you don't see it as a way of managing what you are managing, then there is something wrong with you already also. Otherwise, if you are not part of it, and you actually see it, what stops you from taking action or initiating taking action? What stops people? What is it? Niki. It comes back to the simple thing of, it's like you are not putting yourself as an individual in the context of how the whole country gets affected by some individual's mistake or your own. So how do we deal with this? Businje, you wanted to tell me I'm going back and forth. I'm coming back to where we started. The questions I raised from the beginning, but I knew I would come back to you. So what is it? Because I'm coming back to you, I'm still going to ask you this question. And you should really tell me. Ibyo twavumbuye hano tutari tuzi, ibyo tuvanye hano bishya, turi busohokane tukajyana aho tugiye biza gutuma dukora ibintu ku buryo butandukanye, that nanjye mva hano mva ndi convinced ngo something has come out of this meeting. Ndashaka kubyumva, otherwise I don't want to come here and waste my time as some of you may be wanting that to happen. Yes.
Your Excellency, ngira ngo byinshi mwabivuze, nashaka kuvuga a few points dusa naho twagezeho ejo. Icyambere ni ukuvuga ngo nk'abayobozi ntabwo dukwiye kureba hanze y'iyi nzu ngo tuvuge ngo hari abandi bari hanze y'iyi nzu bashobora kugira icyo bahindura. Niba igihugu tudashobora kukiyobora turi muri iyi nzu uko turi ahangaha, ntidukwiye kubishakira ku bandi. The buck stops with us. Ntidukwiye gutekereza ngo hanze y'iki cyumba harimo abandi bantu bakwiye kuba responsible ya results. Icya kabiri, results not stories nizo zigeza abanyarwanda aho twavuze bashaka kugera muri mu byerekezo byinshi twagiye twiyemeza 2020, 2015 MDGs na gahunda zitandukanye z'igihugu z'uturere n'ahandi. Ni results ntabwo ari impamvu zituma tutabigeraho. abayobozi ntabwo dukwiye kuba turi abajya gushaka impamvu tutageze ku byo dushaka kugeraho. Dukwiye kubigeraho. Niba tutabigezeho tumenye icyatumye tutabigeraho mu gihe kikiri cya kare. Ejo twagize ingero zitandukanye zirimo imyaka 5, imyaka 6, imyaka 7. Burinda bwira tutabonye icyatumye tutabigeraho. Ntabwo habuze amafaranga, ntabwo habuze abantu, ntabwo habuze, ariko hari stories zituma ukanaka atarakoze ikikanaka atarakoze.
Exactly. Aho niho nshaka.
Yes.
Aho ni tutahagobotora. Ntabwo nzi icyo dukora hano. If we don't answer that, that's why I'm afraid we are going to go back and do business as usual. And only come back next year to talk about the same thing. Aho niho nshaka exactly. Yes, mwarabiganiriye, mwarabivuze, ntabwo ari bo bwa mbere mubivuga. Maybe you just discovered new cases, old cases still that were not put out there, and you put them out there, fine. But the problem is different, as you are saying. How do we stop this cycle of this nonsense?
Your Excellency, ibitekerezo twagiye twegeranya ni one, it's about us and our character, not amategeko, not any other barriers.
How can we, mico yanyu mugiye kwicisha abanyarwanda, what your characters, what are they worth? Character, some character of an individual, ijyaho yica igihugu, some individual character ajyaho tumare ngo we have to keep up with it. It's like you have to accommodate me the way I am, whether I want it or not. No, I don't want it. Period. Why should we be hostage of your terrible characters? How? Why should Rwandans become hostage of your bad character, of your individual profit, or selfishness? Why? Why should Rwandans be hostage to this? And above all, why should there be this connivance, this silence that we are all driven into in accommodation of some terrible individual character? Why? Where has your revolutionary stance gone? You are people who could not tolerate this, honestly. This country that has shed blood in all kinds of ways, those who sacrificed fighting to uproot these bad habits, others who shed blood for their stupidity and cruelty and the rest of the nonsense. After that, how can we be the same people who just come and start being... Yeah? How? I'm seeing Secretary General of RPF there, sitting there. Secretary General, how can RPF be part of this nonsense? How you, many of you here, be part of this daily nonsense centered on your individual character that gives us nothing? How? You see, the only luck we have, we are in a totally different phase. We are in a phase of, development, it's nation building, politics, You know, the modern world, I wish if it was the old days, we would have fought badly over this. Yes, would. Some of us would take up arms against you and fight you. But how in this phase can I do that? How? Everybody became like the other. You know, abantu bose baba equal and the same, and the killers of yesterday and the liberators of yesterday have all become what a shame. What a shame. Well, you know, everybody's is full of self-importance and doing nothing for this country that has suffered the way it has. Country that has suffered the way it has. Your people. I'm not talking about you so much. I'm talking about the more than 11 million people of Rwandans who are there, who even though we are here thinking about them, planning to do things about them and for them, and they are there, but they are there thinking about individuals here who are just lost in themselves and doing petty things. How? I wish I could go in my old days and have that situation. I would fight. Yes.
Murakoze, Your Excellency. Ngiye mbona ikibazo kimwe cyangwa se indwara turwaye ikomeye nuko ibi byose bipfa kuri levels zose harahugera ugasanga individuals barabaye bigger than the system they are serving or they are supposed to serve. Niba meya ashinzwe akarere akaba bigger than the district n'abaturage ayoboye, biba ari ikibazo. Ushobora kubaka gutyo ukagera ku rwego rw'igihugu, ku rwego rwa za minisiteri n'ibindi. Ugera
muri mikoro neza abantu nyuma bumve.
Sorry sir. Ubizamuye wagera ku rwego rwa ba ministers n'abandi. Byose rero it is about our characters. Mwavuze ibyo dukora aha ngaha, niba tuva aha ngaha tukabisiga aha ngaha cyangwa se niba ari cyo bizatumarira. Ibyo mwavuze nibyo, bamwe turabisiga aha ngaha twicaye, abandi tuzabisiga muri basi tuyivuyemo tugiye dutashye. Kandi ntabwo ari ibingibi gusa, n'izindi events tugera mu gihugu, yaba umushyikirano yaba iki, basigaye ibyumweru bibiri tuba tugwirirana tureba ibyemezo byari byarafashwe ubushize. Biravuga rero ngo tugomba gushaka uburyo duhora ducekinga characters zacu kugira ngo tumenye, ntutegereze retreat, tugomba ni buri munsi twagombye kuba tureba niba characters zacu zifitinga na purpose tugomba gusavinga. Izo mechanism rero ni bimwe mwavugaga, I don't know niba ari meditation, niba ari ukwisuzuma buri munsi, niba ari iki, ariko if we don't change nta kintu tuzahindura mu mikorere yacu no kuri system yacu tuzayangiza.
Yes. Yeah.
Murakoze, Your Excellency. Ikindi cyaganiriwe ejo kijyanye n'ibibazo bya accountability ni ingaruka kuri individuals zirenze abakoze ibyaha biri criminal bakurikirana n'inzego z'ubutabera, ariko n'ingaruka zijyanye na responsibility ku nzego zitandukanye. Uwabirebye wafite inshingano zo kubikurikirana ntabikore, uwabirebye bitambuka akabyihorera. Ejo ndumva haratanzwe ibitekerezo bitandukanye by'uko buri wese ufite responsibility uko bingana kose yagira nawe ingaruka zijyanye n'uruhare yagombye ko yaragize muri ibi bintu. Ndumva muze senateri Tito yaravuga ati nibura umuntu agatakaza nibura n'igice cy'umushahara ku rwego rutandukanye bijyanye n'uburemere bw'inshingano yari afite mu gikorwa runaka nubwo atari wateje rose ngo wenda atere ubujura ariko uruhare ruri indirect narwo ntirukwiye kwibagirwa ngo biharirwe wa wundi gusa wafatiwe mu cyuho ariko n'abandi bose bashobora kubikumira ko nabo bagira uburyo baba accountable. Murakoze Excellency.
That is right. That's correct. I like it. But how does it happen? How does it happen when the whole system is ready to put up with it? How is somebody going to be identified so that action is taken, and who does it? When everybody is, the investigators will find a way of not giving us the truth. The judges in the judiciary, when even some truth has come out, they want to do this and kill it. Because I'm saying this because the Supreme Court judge is here, the Supreme Court chief is here, but corruption in the judiciary is still as alive as it was yesterday. And they need to attend to it also. Chief Justice, I think this is about 10th time I'm asking you and begging you and others, Babishinzwe, is it telling me you sit and look at this and that is a good way, but not enough. Some drive needs to come into it. Corruption, even in the judiciary, continues as a way of business. I will not probably go into more than that, but the point I'm making is how do we, how do we effectively deal with it? You see, the moment you are ready to tolerate a crime or mediocrity or doing nothing as a mentality, then there is a problem. Theoretically, they are good, they sound good. But when it comes to the real, doing effective things that will reverse these trends, there is a problem. Yes, if people, say in a ministry or somewhere else, people are ready to just not to see the wrong that is going on, or to see it and tolerate it. So how do you achieve this? Holding people accountable. Who does it? Who does it? Who do we wait for to do it? This is where my problem is.
Mr. President, can I answer the question, who does
Yes, please, I'll come to you, don't worry.
Okay.
Who does it? The moment you are slow in doing something, or you look the other way, you want something to pass, so that you also do something else in the same direction, then the parliament goes out there, parliamentarians go out there, they see what wrong is there, they take notes, and when they come, they can either they report to people who will sit on it and nothing happens, or they may also say, ibi bintu ntawamenya reka bitazagaruka uyu muntu twabibonyeho, cyangwa se niyo wabivuga urabivuga se ngo hanyuma bigende bite, so bagahitamo kwicecekera. Something bad happens, something negative always will happen as to why things won't be done. Buri wese muri twe akishyiramo to look for reasons why something should be done, should not be done, or should not happen, instead of finding reasons why something should happen or should be done. The starting point y'abayobozi ni ukuvuga ngo ariko iki kintu kiragoye ariko iki kintu kirakomeye ariko se wabigira utya bikaba. So in other words, you are driving, urajya mu direction nk'ivuga ngo nta gikwiriye gukorwa. Instead of somebody driving in the direction ivuga ngo no, but something can happen, something should happen, something should be done to remedy this. So ugasanga the majority y'abantu irajya mu direction iganisha mu how things should not happen. Yes, Mwenda, I heard your voice. I think you must be the one.
Yes.
If there's anybody who has the same voice as you.
No. No one has bought the patent, Mr. President. Thank you very much, Mr. President, for giving an old man of my age a chance to add to what you're saying. You see, I sat through this meeting yesterday, and every minister who spoke, every government official, they savaged each other. This has failed, this has failed, this has failed.
Not enough.
I think it was too much. So today I have sat here and you have savaged everyone. But Mr. President, I have this feeling in me. One, on all indicators a person would look at, whether they are the global based, Rwanda, a poor country far in the middle of Central Africa, with low skills, no access to the sea, has achieved so much, whether it is in economic growth, whether it's in life expectancy, whether it's in the speed of the construction and consolidation of a state after civil war. Rwanda has acted as the best in the whole world. You can set Rwanda against every country in the world. In those things where it has done well, you can put it among the world's best. Whether it is in the business reforms, Rwanda would come among the top 10 in the world. So the question is, why are we therefore frustrated with ourselves? And I think that is because we are looking at, on the one side, of what we have done and achieved. Rather, we are looking at on one side of what we are failing to do. And I don't think that, although it is very good to show people where they are failing, it is always better to leverage a person's strength rather than to fix their weaknesses. And we need to know, why has Rwanda achieved this much, even with all these failures and frustrations that you have, Mr. President? Why has Rwanda achieved all this? And if we identify it, then we can say, how do we proceed to leverage the strengths of each one of the leaders individually and collectively to continue to achieve great things? Because even at the highest level of achievement, there will be many failures. You will have, Mr. President, many frustrations. You will have people you will not be happy with. But ultimately, we need to discuss what is it that has allowed Rwanda to have the fastest growth in life expectancy in the world, to have the fastest growth of an economy in the world, among the top 15 fastest growing economies in the world. What has allowed Rwanda to have the fastest growth in health coverage? There is no country of Rwanda, even the United States, does not have the level of medical coverage that Rwanda has. Yet this is a very poor country. So I think that if we ask ourselves, what is our strength? Why have we been able to achieve all this in spite of all these weaknesses? It will be better for us to move forward, Mr. President.
No, I completely disagree with you.
I thought so, Mr. President.
And I will leave that approach to you as a journalist to write stories, and that's very fine with me. But for me, I'm not here to praise these good Rwandans for what has been achieved. I am here to discuss those you call in spite of. In spite of, you know, we have achieved this in spite of this. That is my point. You see what I mean? Because That is very important. If you say Rwanda has made progress in spite of this weakness, my time should be spent on this weakness, not on what we have achieved. What we have achieved, we have achieved. Can we learn lessons from what we have achieved? And because here, Mwenda, the problem is that twofold. It's not just achieving that I'm thinking about. There are two things. One, it's how do we sustain what we have achieved? Two, how do we deal with in spite of things so that we make more progress? The problem with your approach is exactly what has happened in many other cases. You make progress, there is what you know, your friend, my namesake, said, worried well. Worried well, that is Paul Collier. Worried well, it means we are doing well, but I am worried. I'm worried about this sustainability. If we don't address the in spite of things you are talking about, and that's where my focus goes. Another thing is, the things we are talking about, which we have even made attempt of isolating and specifying for discussion, are real, they are there. So how do we cover this up by something else that has happened well? How do I not emphasize that we failed to get power that we should have got 3-4 years ago, and people are trying to deliver it now, and I don't find out what is it that caused this 3-year, 5-year delay. How do I go say, you know, things generally in Rwanda are happening better than anywhere else? Fine, but does that answer my question, how we did not deliver 15 megawatts we should have delivered, that we need so badly? It does not. So my main problem, let me show you. In actual fact, if we have delivered things 70%, and we have not delivered things 30%, my worry, 70% of my worries are on the 30% we haven't delivered. 30% of my worries are on the things that have been delivered. You see my point? Yes. I have more worries about the few things that have not been delivered, and of course, less worries about things that have been delivered. The things that have been delivered, my worry is sustainability. But not delivering on the 30% may actually cause the problem of sustainability for the other ones that have been delivered. You may have the house coming down, crashing on you, if you don't address that. You see my point? So, for praises of what we have achieved, we can leave it to musicians to compose good music and poems and by artists and praise us. I have no problem with that. Yes. or leave it to journalists to write all kinds of praises and say, oh, Rwanda is the best thing that has ever happened in this world. That's okay. But no, I still have these serious problems. You may call few. And by the way, something else. Andrew, the very many successes that you are talking about or the many, if you will, which we should all pride in and share, they take a toll on a few people. You understand what I mean? They really take a toll on a few people. And I don't think a country like ours, so hard pressed for good results, that we must deliver anyway, whether they want it or not, is something we can leave to be carried by a few individuals. Then that brings another problem of sustainability I'm talking about. We can't, yes, everybody shares in this and rightly should share in this. But you know how much sits on a few people's shoulders every single day. How many fights that people have got to get involved in for something to be delivered, as demonstrated by a few cases we are talking about. It's you with an investor who came to Rwanda one time recently. Somebody came here all the way from the United Kingdom. You were in the meeting. And somebody, you can see this, because you give me an opportunity to point this out. Do you remember it was last October when we went to UK, we had an investors conference, right? There were a whole host of ministers here, Minister of Finance, Minister Valentin, Minister of Commerce, Minister Musoni, Minister everybody. They were there. We had RDB, we had all of us there. I was there, too. Now, first of all, what had we gone to do in this investment conference? It is to try and bring investors, attract investors to come and invest in these areas we want investments in that mean a lot to the growth of our economy, the development of our country, and so on and so, the prosperity of our people, right? It is the other day, it's not so long ago, when this person came with you. And imagine somebody to come from UK to be the one to come and remind us and say, and they had, I wish you had even gone to somebody else, but they even had to come to me. To stay. Imagine this man being the one to come all the way, spending his money, to come and say, you know what? You know, I was following up on these things myself, but I found Rwandans have not been following up on these investors who are there and who are actually interested in the good story of Rwanda. Am I telling lies?
You are telling the truth, Mr. President.
So what does that mean? tell me how all these ministers were there, and the president, and the RDB, and everybody, and actually nobody followed up. Does that get explained by, is it explained by the good stories we have had in the past? Or the success we have made in some areas? Tell me, let somebody tell me, make these connections. We spent all the money on this trip, and we had every purpose in our minds to say investments. And there are people interested, but we are not interested in them. When we went there, what is the explanation? And some of these people I'm talking about can even challenge me and say, no, but President, I followed up on this. Another one may say, no, I also followed up on that. But imagine if I got an answer like this, or if I got a challenge like this. Don't you find something wrong with even that kind of thing? That somebody would dare say, no, but I think I followed up on this. Then another one, no, I also tried to talk to somebody. No, what I'm talking about, when we went to UK, we did not go as minister so-and-so individually or president individually. We went there as Rwanda, as one system. Isn't it? So how can you therefore tell me we went there, we came back, but we had not designed, one, we did not really have a plan of how we are going to attract people as Rwanda, not as when Francis remembers, or when, Kanimba remembers or decides to remember, and something like that. And later on, when somebody comes still here raising the question, they are still, and this person was even begging us. I really felt so bad. He was saying, can you allow me to follow it up for you, because I'm in touch with these people? And RDB, Claire was in the meeting. It was like, you see, we have to first write a memorandum of understanding, then, you see, signing it, I almost... But this is something being discussed months after the meeting. You are still discussing whether you write a piece of paper and you see you have some understanding. Which world do you live in, you people, honestly? Which world? I thought you were exposed to this modern world we live in, but when you come home, it's like, to not even be sensitive to this time wasted since October. Instead of these ministers, to have sat when they came back immediately in October and work out something and connect with whoever they need to connect with or through whoever they want, they just come and switched off. Until somebody else from outside came and was literally begging us. And then even when he's begging us on something that is obvious, somebody can afford to delay them and say, no, we are still thinking about it, or how to do it. What world do you live in? So is this Mwenda what you want me to base on to start praising ourselves for what we have achieved?
Can I say something, Mr. President?
Yes.
First, you see, I agree with you. In fact, today the roles have changed. I always come and express my own frustrations about things not happening. And you always say, no, you be slow, things can work.
No,
But-
no, I don't misrepresent it.
Yes, I have these frustrations.
I cannot tell you that be slow. If there's anybody who wants anything slow, it's me. What I tell you, don't misrepresent me. What I tell you is, I've one time told you, I said, you see, you fight with an army you have. If you have a sick army, that's the one you have. That will be reflected in the battle. You cannot have a sick army and fight a war as if you have an army that is quick on their feet and the sickness in the army will be reflected in how you fight the battles. This is what I have been telling Mwenda. So sometimes, you see, theoretically, again, that's really the problem. How things can be done and should be done is known. But the gap arises because of how people translate what they know into what they do and should do. Right? So don't misrepresent me.
Mr. President, so I was saying that, first of all, I am conscious of the fact that I don't want you to get frustrated a lot. I want you also to be motivated, and to be motivated by the achievements.
You don't want, but
you-
how are you going to deliver it?
I want you to be motivated.
Because if you can't change these people, I am condemned to frustration.
So when you are motivated that these guys have achieved a lot of things, you can fix those 30% gaps with greater motivation than when you are frustrated. So psychologically, I feel I should do, that is also my responsibility. And two,
That sweetening of things
and two,
is not my world. My world
Mr.
is
President,
different.
I want these guys also to be motivated that they have achieved so much and they can do much more, rather than for them to walk away thinking they have not done anything. That is why I had to raise these achievements.
I still don't agree.
And three,
I think some people here need to be fought seriously.
and three, there is something called the Pareto principle that always 80% of the work is done by 20% of the people. And you, as president, you will have to bear a heavier burden, suffer more frustration, and in getting this work done. Not every work will not be distributed evenly. But Mr. President, please, I want these guys to walk away knowing that they have achieved a lot of things. I cover what they do, and they have many weaknesses, but those weaknesses are not as significant as their strength, and we need to leverage those
Their
strengths.
weaknesses are terrible. Yeah, we have to call a spade a spade. I'm not going to hide. The weaknesses we will spend so much time talking about are just terrible. And I really don't like your comments. You can reserve them for your independent newspaper. You write them there and you read them there, but I'm not here to tell these people lies, or to please them, or to, actually not even to beg them. I'm going to fight them. Yes. I'm not going to hide this. We are going to have to keep fighting. I translate my frustrations into a fight. We just can't switch off that praise. Yes, I don't want us to be happy with this whole, how nice it is, and then we come the next day, find it has been run down. No, I'm not going to call a spade something else. That is the one burden you have to carry in me. In me, as long as you have me, you have this burden. I'm not going to tell you lies. If you want to, you are happy to be told lies, then I'm happy not to tell you lies. Yes. Their strength, okay, they know their strength. Why don't they base on that strength and solve it? I am telling you thousands, you want more cases? I'll tell you thousands of cases. Whether they translate into strength, I don't know. If you want me to tell you their strength also, I can do that. But they know it. So why don't they base on the strength to do the right thing? Today, you have a bad day with me on that. I can't tell lies. I can't come and that is called cosmetic. You know, there are people who brush so many things on their faces, they try to change it, but it is only cosmetic. They remain who they are ultimately. You scratch a bit on the face of it, you get to the person. Isn't it? Yes. That only can deceive the mirror. Yes. But if you brush it off, then you go back to the same person. So I'm not going to paint any cosmetics on your faces, please. I'm not in that job.